Hey guys, another great edition of Quarantine with Coaches. Today, I got a national champion, D2 national champion, Coach Shinnick, down in Pensacola, Florida. How you doing, Coach?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Coach. You've been at West Florida for 4 years and somehow have managed to, I don't know, go to two national championship games in 4 years. Pretty impressive. I know we're going to dive into that, but how you guys handling the quarantine down there?
Really day by day. And, it hit everybody at, I think, different times. We were on spring break and we were supposed to start spring ball the Tuesday coming back from spring break. And, obviously, boom, I think on Saturday before that, we're sending out a text, don't come back to campus. This thing's, we don't know how long it's going to be. But I'll tell you, from our first meeting Monday, we did a conference call with coaches. Our first meeting on Monday, kind of our vibe and our feel for this whole thing was no idea when it's going to end, but when it ends, we want to come out on top. And we really had four areas we wanted to work on and we wanted to get better at. And I'm really pleased and really thankful for the type of coaches I have that have just put the work in to get to where we are. We continued to grow our offense, grow our defense, grow our special teams, had meetings with our players when we were allowed to do that. We continued our recruiting. We've actually signed some guys during that process. And then we've started our 2021 recruiting, and we're well on our way to having a better board than we've ever had really at this point in time. Obviously, there's disadvantages as you're going through, as everybody's going through. But my objective was somebody's going to come out on top. Somebody's going to come out ahead. We want to be that group.
Hey, one of the things I find unique about you, obviously, we talked already about the success here, but your background is awesome. I mean, spent some time at the Division I level. You've been a head coach now for 20 years. I know your dad played in the NFL. Your dad was a coach as well. Can you talk maybe a little bit about his impact on you and sort of your journey to West Florida?
Sure. I mean, my dad passed away over 12, 13 years ago. His impact on my life was unbelievable. And really, I would say a lot of what I do and why I do it and how I do it directly comes from, Don Shinnick and what I saw of him. And more than coaching, just what type of husband he was, what type of father he was, and how he tried to set that example. And watching him have success, watching him relate to players, I'm a young kid, and when he was with Raiders, I'm 12, 13 years old, watching them go to Super Bowls, see that type of thing. And then later on, he's with the New England Patriots. Got a chance, in college to, bang around during training camp and just kind of see how he related to players. Really had a huge impact on, how I deal with our young men. And then probably the funnest part about being in coaching, I've got four brothers. Three of my brothers played college football along with me. We all played D1. Had a brother play at Penn State, brother play at UCLA. I played at Colorado. The smartest brother of all of us, he played at Hawaii. He didn't win many games, but at least he was in Hawaii. But the funnest part about being, coaching now is I run into a lot of guys that knew my dad or were coached by my dad. Or worked with him or knew him. And just to hear, the type of person that he was a huge, thing to just kind of take. And that's what I took from him. I thought my dad's knowledge was unbelievable. I loved watching games with him. I loved hearing how he broke things down. And that kind of set the tempo for me. And a lot of the things I do because of him. My dad was a defensive guy. I've been on offense my entire career, except for one season as a graduate assistant at Arkansas. So just knowing what he knew and then using that to attack people and using that to set up offensive game plans. And, we will still to this day, because of my dad's influence, I don't care what type of offense I have, what type of defense I have, we will still to this day, if we win the toss, we're going to defer to put the defense out there first. And so that's because my dad said, get them out there, get them started. And you get the ball in the second half, Obviously, there's been studies. If you make it right, you can take a big advantage of that. So we lost the toss 12 of 15 times. So our offense started the game this season. Worked out well for us, though. So
you guys got to study that. That's an off-season study in itself right there, right?
Exactly.
Hey, you started the program at West Florida, and this isn't your first startup, right? This is your second chance to start a program. What is it about starting a program that intrigues you?
Yeah, we started the program at UNC Pembroke, and had very good success, and really kind of in a different way. We were an independent, and our first year we went 4-7, and really from that season, Tim, I really believe that we could have won 7-8 games, and that really kind of created a mentality as we were going through this, that if we just do what's right, I don't care how old your team is, I don't care what your team's going to be made of. If you just do what you're supposed to do, you got a chance. And we got a couple of sayings that we hang our hat on around here. The first one is, it's how we play, not who we play. So if we play well, we're going to get it done. And the other is, our best can beat anybody in the country. Our good's going to get us beat. Our average is going to get us kicked. But our best can beat anybody in the country. And what stemmed from UNC Pembroke, our second year, we went 9-1. Now, we didn't have the toughest schedule out there, and we were playing a couple NAIA schools and stuff like that. But we went 9-1 our second year. And then our third year, we went 9-1 and became the fastest program in D2 history to make the playoffs. And I think, and I've talked to our athletic director here, obviously, if I didn't have that success at UNC Pembroke, I don't get the West Florida job. I think this is an amazing opportunity. This is a fantastic university. Our leadership here is phenomenal. We have 10 national championships as an athletic department. Football obviously got their first one. But we also have, I think, 11 national runner-ups, which we have one of those as well throughout our athletic department. So when this thing opened up, it became very, very clear to me that there was going to be a great opportunity to have success. And one of the things that we established early as just as a program was, and kind of, it's probably one of the first days I had the full staff together. I just said, look, we are not going to use the excuse that we're playing freshmen as that's why we're losing. Every year I've been a head coach, I'd played freshmen. There'd been a starting running back or a starting DB or something. Well, now we were just obviously going to start, a lot more. And I just said, that's not going to be an excuse. Coach them up and let's get them to the level that we think they're capable of. And then let's not install or baffle them or blow them away. And we're not going to lose because of missed assignments, and we'll just go from there. And it kind of cracked me up because we beat people, and we beat people in our conference, and their post-game press conference would be talking about, well, we had a freshman playing, at this position, and he didn't quite get it. I'm like, man, we got 75% of our team's freshmen playing, I don't know if that's a valid reason for your team not playing the way that you want it to. But with that, then, we just kind of built on that. And, one of my personal goals when I came here, just kind of, I didn't make it public. I really didn't do much with it, is I want to make it to the playoffs faster than we did at UNC Pembroke. And, we did in our second year. And we had to win out. We had to beat we had to beat two teams that had beat us the year before, Tim, 120-3. Okay. So, we went into those last two games, and I told our guys, I said, look, we're playing North Alabama. We're playing West Georgia. Both those guys playoff teams. Both those guys really good. Look, we're going to have to – North Alabama had actually been to the national championship the year before. West Georgia had been on – they're on an historic run in their program. And I was like, look, I know they beat us 120-3, but we're going to have to go beat these guys. And we flipped the tables, and we beat them, and that's what got us into the playoffs. And then once we got in 17, the goal was, look, I just don't want to be the fastest team to get in. I want to be the fastest team to win one and then win two. And then obviously we want to be the fastest team to win it all. We lost to a very good Texas A&M Commerce. Luis Perez, probably as good a quarterback as I've seen in D2 up till I think we've got a young man right now that I think, over time will challenge, what Perez was able to do. And so, as we came back this year, 2 years later, the objective was once we get in, we feel like we can take it. And again, we went in as some underdog. What we did this year, I still think 17, what we did, out of nowhere to win 4 in a row and get to the national championship as a second-year program, speaks for itself. But what we did this year, just extremely proud of our guys. We went on the road 5 times. We went into hostile environments 4 times. We beat 5 teams that had a combined record prior to playing us of 59-1. We beat 4 undefeateds in a row, and we beat 3 regionally ranked number 1 teams. So, I think at the end of it, all our guys said, yeah, I think we deserve this. I don't think I don't think there'll be any controversy in this. And then probably the best part of it, Tim, when the season ended and they came out with the last poll, probably the most satisfying deal in that was, obviously we're number 1. That's the most satisfying. But number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5, we had to beat on the way to winning it. So it was pretty clear.
That's unbelievable. Hey, what do you attribute to your success, not only at West Florida, but at UNC Pembroke as well? Just that, you may downplay it. I look at it as pretty impressive just to be able to build a program and win 9 games in year 2, or build a program and go to the national championship in year 2. And I know you sort of touched on it a little bit in that last answer, but can you just tell me, what are the secrets to your success?
Yeah, I think, number 1, I think I've always had a great group of assistant coaches who have caught my vision. And I'll talk a little bit about, kind of what I want this thing to look like. And then I think we've been able to recruit guys that, they're not perfect. They're not, all these guys that, everything goes well for us every day. It's not like that. But they understand what they're getting into, and they understand what our expectations are. And I think we're very straightforward as to, look, this is the kind of program you're coming into. This is what we're looking for. This is what our expectations are going to be. Again, my assistant coaches, I think, catch the vision that I have set up, what this is going to look like, how it's going to play out. And then they do a great job of communicating it. And in some cases, Tim, they communicate my vision, as good or better than me, which is, exactly what you would want as a head coach. And we're gonna do things a little differently. Number 1 thing we're gonna do is, we're gonna treat our players with the utmost respect and dignity. We have a no cussing PG mentality in our program. Players can't use profanity. Coaches can't use profanity. We say anything directed to them can't be personal. So, words like lazy, stupid, dumb, those type of things, those aren't words that are a part of our vocabulary. Gary Barnett was the offensive coordinator, quarterback coach at University of Colorado when I was there. He had a huge impact on me, didn't coach me, but I just watched that guy coach. He's the first guy that I'd ever heard when someone would fumble, he wouldn't yell at them for fumbling or losing the ball. He would say, you need to hold on to the ball tighter. A guy would drop the ball. He wouldn't say, you got hands of bricks. I can't believe that. He would say, you need to see the ball in more. A guy would make a mistake, and Coach Barnett would say, that's not like you. I feel like there's more inside of you that, that you can do this better. And it really kind of changed, and I, that was mid 80s, really coming off of, some of the Bear Bryant stuff of the 60s and, all of that stuff. To hear him talk like that, I was like, man, that's impactful. That is a heck of a way to really address a young man. And really for me, it struck a chord of, hey, that's how I want to communicate to my players. I want to talk to them in a manner where, if a guy drops the ball, he's not doing it on purpose. If a guy jumps off sides, he's not doing it on purpose. he's trying to fight and scratch to make our team better as well. And so it really created in me, and it became a core value for our programs, of positive energy. I'm a big John Gordon fan. We read a John Gordon book every year. We had the pleasure of having him come talk to our athletic department last year, which was awesome. And then he spoke to our team right afterwards. We're the energy this year. The Power Up team, we do his training book as well as his 7 C's book. So we go through those 4, and each guy will be able to, go through, one of those books with us. So that imparted on me from Coach Barnett, we're going to be positive. We're going to find a way to be positive. And really, our program, John Gordon talks about this. It's not, hey, everything's positive. We're going to tell the truth too. And we're going to speak the truth to guys. And I tell guys, look, I'm going to be really honest with you. Some of it you're going to like because I'm going to praise you and you're going to like it. But some of it, you're going to have to fix. If you're not hustling, I'm going to tell you you're not hustling. If you're not playing hard, I'm going to tell you you're not playing hard. We got a player right now that the NFL likes his size, likes his strength, but they think he's lazy. And I talked to him and I said, look, that's you got 2 things working for you. You got 1 thing negative. We got to find a way to get more of your energy show up on film because they're not going to look at you just because of your size or your strength. So as I've gone through it, I really attribute, a lot of my success is, I think my vision's important. And I think the standards that I've set are very important. And, my dad made a comment to me very early on in my career. He's like, look, you got to have a standard that you want to live up to. And you got to have a standard that you want to wake up every morning and feel great about it. And, you don't ever, you got to be willing to lose your job over your standard from a moralistic standpoint, from an integrity standpoint, and from a character standpoint. You cannot compromise on that. Now, if you got a quarterback who can't throw, don't try to throw the ball 50 times. That's where you change. That's where you adapt. If you only got 3 good defensive linemen, don't try to be a 4-down line front. If you got 8 great defensive linemen, then be a 4-down. Use your personnel, but don't compromise on the integrity, the character of who you are. And I've really stuck with it. And it plays into our program goals. We got 3 program goals that we talk about a lot. Help each player become a better husband, father, employer, employee. Help them graduate in 4.5 years. And goal 3 is play great football. And, you walk into our building right now, we got an amazing facility that was built for us a couple years into the program, the Darrell Gooden Center. You walk into there, you're going to see a national championship trophy. You're going to see a runner-up trophy, but you're not going to see any signs that say win the Gulf South Conference or win the national championship. We're going to talk about playing great football. And, when we came here and started the program, I try to have a theme. We built this program around the Greek word arete, A-R-E-T-E. Got it on my sleeve right here, and we got it on a lot of our shirts. It's the Greek word for excellence, living up to one's fullest potential. And so with that, again, we say our best can beat anybody in the country. We say it's how we play, not who we play. If we live up to our fullest potential, and I can get every guy to do that, we're going to be in great shape.
I love that. Hey, Coach, before we let you go, we'll do one more question and then we'll jump into rapid fire here. But obviously, you've had an impressive career, and I always like to ask guys, what advice would you give to young coaches who want to emulate your career?
Yeah, I think I bounced around a lot early, and I thought that was very important to learn from different people. I started at Richmond. I was at Arkansas for a year, Clemson at 2 years, and then I was at Oregon State for 2 years. I was at Northern Michigan for a year, St. Cloud State for 3 years, Humboldt for 1 year, and then I became a head coach. I really felt like that impact, that influence of all those people, molded me into the type of person that I am. Obviously, my dad had a huge effect. Ken Hatfield had a very huge effect, but I won't go through the names of all the other head coaches. But they had an impact on me. Some were good, and some were, hey, that's not my style. That's not who I am. And I think the thing that I have really had this. Basically since I became an offensive coordinator at St. Cloud State, which again, I feel terrible I've started 2 programs, which I think is fantastic to get football back in, to areas. But 2 programs that I've coached at no longer have football: Humboldt State and St. Cloud State. So I feel like I'm even right now. I don't know that I got to start another program, but it's like, God, we're trying to get on the plus side of this thing. But I've kind of had this philosophy since I became an offensive coordinator. And when you're a GA, if you want to be an assistant coach, you got to think like an assistant coach. And so, yeah, you got to do the grunt work. You got to put in the film work. You got to do all those little things. But hey, what does that look like as an assistant coach? How are you going to handle players? How are you going to handle the disruptive guy? What's that going to look like? When you're an assistant coach, if you want to be a coordinator, you got to think like a coordinator. And I think this is the hardest one. I mean, as you move up, you got to think like a coordinator, but you can't contradict the coordinator. You can't be going, oh, I got a better idea than you. Just got to think like, hey man, how hard is it to schedule plays? I spend hours in the evenings on, Wednesday and Thursday night getting the game plan ready, because I still call the plays here. I don't think a lot of guys understand that. Oh, hey, we got good guys. We're just going to throw some plays out there. And then when you're a coordinator and you want to be a head coach, you got to think like a head coach without undermining the head coach. I was at Northern Michigan University, and I came in. I was there 9 months. I had a really good relationship with the players, and our head coach was calling plays, and we're driving against Ferris State. And, he asked, hey, what do you think we should call? And I said, look, my guards are getting beat up. Let's call a trap. We called a trap, and it scored, and the players were like, oh, coach, you should be calling plays, and I'm like, man, you don't understand. That guy's called 65 plays. I just called 1. I'm not ready to call the other 64. I had 3 quarters to analyze that. Don't anoint me with anything just yet. But it was a great learning lesson of what does the preparation need to be. And then I think when you become a head coach, Tim, I think you got to remember what all those other guys did. No, and I'm not going to ask a GA to do anything that I didn't do, and I'm not going to ask an assistant to be anything other than who they are. And so, I've just kind of lived by that throughout the course of my career, trying to understand it. Ken Hatfield, I worked for him for 3 years. The biggest influence that Ken Hatfield had no children, but he was married. Ken Hatfield was about as family-friendly of a coach that I had ever worked for as an assistant. And I have tried to emulate that. We come in early, we leave right after practice. We're on huddle. I think with all this technology here, that has taken place over the course of the last 2 months, there's some things that, we could do even better. We started this, and that really took this from Victor Santa Cruz, who was at Azusa Pacific. He was my defensive coordinator, became the head coach at Azusa Pacific. Now he's the defensive coordinator at the University of Hawaii. He didn't work at all on Sundays. Now we work 3 hours, but I used to work 10 hours as a staff on Sundays. Now we just do 3 hours, all film study, and then a meeting to talk about players. And then I said, hey, go home, sit around your living room with your computer on your laptop, let your kids run around you. You're going to watch the same film as if you're sitting in your office. Our 3 core values, I talked about positive energy. The one that we probably stress the most in the office is smart, hard work. Unity is the other one, which we work on that a ton. But smart, hard work, I promise you, and we've been to the national championship 2 times in the last 3 years. I promise you teams have worked longer hours than us, okay? But I don't know that anybody's worked more efficiently than we have. And that comes from practice, that comes from meetings, and I think that comes from install. How many plays we run, what do we do, what do we ask of our players, how do we ask it of them?
Awesome. Hey, before we let you go, you ready for a little rapid fire?
Let's do it.
All right. You may have already answered this one, but the book that's had the biggest impact on you.
I would say Collins's book, Good to Great, is probably the book from just a structural standpoint, and being able to apply principles to take programs to the next level, take companies to the next level. That one was huge, I think, in my coaching development. Again, I like Maxwell, all his leadership stuff. John Gordon, I've read everything that he did, and the Bible would be outside of football the most impactful book, though, that I try to read every day.
What's been your go-to quarantine meal?
Quarantine meal?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, too many. I mean, I'm not good working where there's a full pantry. It's like I get up to go to the bathroom and say, "Oh, hey, there's chips." Oh, hey, wait a minute. We got Chips Ahoy cookies too. All right, we made brownies. I don't know. I think I've eaten way too much. I got to get out more. So, go-to meal, yeah, maybe some quesadillas, something like that. I'm not sure.
If your offense could emulate any offense in history, be it pro or college, what offense would you try to emulate?
Well, I'd like to emulate what Joe Burrow did last year. That efficiency and that accuracy. And again, I mean, it's not just Joe Burrow. I mean, they had 14 guys drafted, and I think the majority of those guys were on offense. So, I mean, there were some really good football players on that LSU team. That's kind of, and we've kind of morphed throughout the years. I've been blessed to have some really good quarterbacks and have some guys who can wing the thing around. So, we do want to throw the ball, but, we'd love to have a really good running game in there as well.
What has been your go-to binge show this quarantine?
Yeah, I probably watch a lot of Blue Bloods. Really, really enjoying that, and it's on reruns.
Yeah.
All over the place. I don't know that we've done a whole lot of the Netflix and stuff like that, but I think I've seen every Blue Bloods probably twice throughout the course of this thing.
Awesome. Coach, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on Quarantine with Coaches.
No, thank you for having me. It was fun.